Hello and welcome back to Cars of Glasgow. I'm Thomas and today you join me with this, the BMW i8, a hybrid sports car, supercar, GT car, all rolled into one. And in this video I'm going to give you a walk around tour of this car, show us like an interior before taking it out on the road for a test drive. And I want to say a special thanks to HB Autos for loaning me this car for today's video. Without further ado, let's crack on. This car certainly does look like something that's came straight out of a concept car design studio. You can love it or hate it, it certainly looks striking all these years later. Hard to believe this car was the halo product for BMW over 10 years ago, but 2014 this car launched. It's even a Mission Impossible movie years before that as a kind of concept car looking one. This is the final production model here that we have. This particular one is a 2017 model. But it's right in the middle of the production line before it was cancelled in 2020. Of course, this one is the coupe. You could also get it as a roadster towards the later end of the production cycle. Now, up front, you can see that low, wide stance of the vehicle. BMW i blue accents are all throughout the cabin on the exterior and interior of this car. That was kind of a thing they were doing with this car, the i3. And even now on the BMW i4, there's little elements of it. It's a little bit dialed back now in today's kind of modern vehicles. Got this big scoop right in the front here, kind of adds to it. This one is finished in a dark grey paint, but if you get it in something like white, you can really see the accents pop. Laser BMW headlights up front, that low angular stance, again, kind of emphasising the mean, low, wide, futuristic look of the vehicle. I keep saying how much I like this car, but when I see an i8 out on the road, it certainly does grab my attention. I stop and take a look at it. I think if you owned this vehicle, you'd probably park up in your garage and spend hours just looking at it and trying to look at all the new angles that's coming to you and design elements. It's got a lot going on the front end. We do have parking sensors front and rear, as well as a 360-degree camera fitted to this particular BMW i8. Now up front we do have these 20-inch diamond cut alloy wheels riding on Bridgestone rubber. They are 215/45 R20s if you are curious. They are a 20-inch turbine style BMW i version, which is like one of the optional ones, but there are a couple of options to look at on the used market if you are considering these. So on the front left hand side is where you can plug in your home charger there. It does have a 7.2 kilowatt hour battery, which is good for about 22 miles of electric driving range. And from this angle you can really appreciate the swooping lines into that buttress in the back there on the BMW i. It's a very smooth off bit. Your door handles are down here, so if you push that lever they pull open like so. Round the rear of the car, it's just as futuristic as the front end. We've got this big massive part of glass running round to the bottom of the tailgate here. i8 badging here, more blue accents, eDrive to signify that hybrid powertrain. This little design element here, a lot of people commented to think this looks like something that a Porsche 911's kind of been coming out the rear of it, or it's crashed into it or moulded into it in some way. It's a little bit more obvious in a white paint colourway, but this dark grey with the black a little bit more hidden. But once you see this kind of element, it does look like a 911 is going into the back of the i8. More blue accents down the rear, reverse camera, parking sensors here, and again you can really admire those tail lights with the flying buttresses there. I think that looks really fantastic. Key fob here, it's got a little i8 silhouette. You can unlock that tailgate there. The whole glass panel lifts up, and then you open up your boot here and you've got about 154 litres of boot space there, ideal for things like your charging cables. It's worth mentioning these tail lights as well. The bottom half is where your tail light and brake light are going to be, and then your indicator is up above there, so you've actually kind of got a floating effect here with the air-going flue on the rear end of the i8 tail light cluster, which is a unique design look to this particular car. So before we jump into the interior of the i8, the car's about 1.29 metres in height, roughly 4.69 metres in length and about 2.2 metres in width. So the i8 does use this carbon fibre reinforced plastic for the passenger cell there. We've also seen a similar process there on the BMW i3 of the time. Now I'm going to go ahead and step inside. You do have a large sill, so you kind of have to go bum in first to get yourself comfortable inside the vehicle. And voila, we are inside the i8. Now we do have the blue accents continuing in the interior, same in the door sill. The little seat belt's a nice colour, that kind of BMW i blue. Accents as well on the stitching, the steering wheel. Just to remind you, this is one of the BMW i products, which is a little bit more special and electrified in comparison to your mainstream. And again, this was the Halo product back in the day. The interior trims were all called Worlds back then for the i3 and the i8, so this is known as the Halo. We do have like a soft brown colour with a bit of texture going with the leather and a bit of cloth in the centre there. And then there's accents of like charcoal grey and like soft, like kind of dove grey in the centre there. The overall material inside the cabin does feel well built and solid. There's like nice like premium like leather materials going across the dash and the centre console. Even the steering wheel all these years later does feel nice, soft and plush. And being a BMW, it just feels like a regular BMW in terms of the connectivity and setup. That you can Bluetooth your phone. It's got an 8.8 inch screen here, little buttons across the centre there. You can run your finger going across there, and just like other BMWs of this era, it can preset for like your radio stations, your sat nav destinations, even a telephone contact. I always thought that was quite fun in this generation. And then your heated seats and your climate controls all down there. Physical buttons, gear select in the centre. This car does use a 6-speed automatic transmission for the petrol engine and a 2-speed for that electric motor up front. Start stop button there, e-drive, comfort mode, eco mode, camera button, parking sensors, traction control in the centre. iDrive controller there to control the centre screen. You can write destinations there on the little centre there. This was the high-tech version of the iDrive system at that time. In the centre as well, this little panel lifts up, which is kind of brown in this particular car. Aux import, USB-A. It's a big enough storage for the key fob to fit in, because we do have a fairly large key. And then one cup holder, and then a little bit of storage that flips up for a snap-in adapter for your BMW kind of connected phone there. It says that this whole picture of an old iPhone with a seatbelt in the packaging, and then you've got your cigarette lighter stroke 12-volt power outlet. A little bit of a small docket there for like a pen or something as well in the centre. It wouldn't be a Cars of Glasgow video without a glove box reveal. Softly damp, lined with the fuzzy stuff, and enough room for your BMW i8 owner's book. But yeah, there's not too much room in there. It's a little bit more like a shelf or something. But it is softly padded on the exterior as well, so that kind of soft touch, either vinyl or leatherette material that's going across this dash here is also going across that centre bit of the glove box. Now, if you're curious, we do have seats in the back. You just pull this lever on the back of the headrests, pull that slides forward. And I'm going to step inside for the purpose of today's video, but they do look like, I was going to say +2 seats, but realistically, some sort of jump seat. I am 5'11", so this is a little bit interesting to step inside. And yeah, there's going to be very little to no room back here. Can I get myself, do you know what? At a push, if you were really carrying friends somewhere and you really needed the space, you could sit forward, but it's not going to be comfortable for maybe more than like 10-20 minutes. But do have a little hook there to maybe hang your shirt or something like that. But yeah, it is softly padded and there's nice materials here. It's all covered in leather and things like that. But there's 2 cup holders in the back, hard back there in the back of the seat. But yeah, I'm not quite convinced. Maybe small children would be fine, but my head is literally at an angle here to try and get myself in here. But I am legs akimbo, so it's not as bad as I thought. It's just really tight in the back of the BMW i8 for rear passengers. But as I said, there is ISOFIX points, and maybe a child seat could get thrown in there, or just throw in your luggage for extra storage. All right, you join me inside the BMW i8. Now, let's see what it's like inside this hybrid sports car. Now, you do sit rather low inside the cabin, which I guess what you'd expect. You do have quite an intrusive A-pillar here because it kind of rakes back on that exterior styling. But let's see what it's like once you get out on to the mostly open road, public roads. Do have a couple of drive modes while we're here. Comfort mode and eco mode are used by a toggle. But if you hit the transmission into sports, or the left-hand side, it does put the whole car into sports mode. And then you've got e-drive, so if the car's got enough electric range and battery power, it will force the car into fully electric driving. Right now we're just in comfort mode. I'm just going to let the car kind of smooth through the gears itself. So it does have a 6-speed automatic transmission in the rear for the petrol engine, and then up front we do have that 2-speed automatic transmission for the motor, which yeah, is an interesting setup in this car. It does use a 1.5 litre 3-cylinder turbo petrol engine coupled with that electric motor, which is around 98 kilowatts. That drives the front wheels, the petrol engine drives the rear wheels, so it is all-wheel drive. You're looking around 4.4 seconds to 62 miles per hour with this car, and yeah, it seems to feel speedy and fast enough in comfort mode. The chassis in the car certainly feels well set up. It does feel like it's got a good balance, and it kind of feels athletic. And round things like roundabouts, you do feel it's well planted and relatively flat. Just I guess it's going to be due to the low centre of gravity and the way the car feels, and just the dynamics of the car just feels really well planted going through. Now, total power for this car, you're looking around 370 brake horsepower, 420 pound-feet of torque, or 569 newton meters of torque, depending which system you're using. But yeah, it's certainly torquey enough and feels athletic enough to accelerate. You're looking around 1,535 kilograms for the coupe, and around 50 kilos more for the Roadster, which kind of came quite late in the production cycle before the car was cancelled in 2020. But I think if this car launched now, people would be more susceptible and up for a plug-in hybrid. I think at the time it was just a really confused goose because it was quite expensive. Yes, it had low CO2 figures and things like that to attract company car buyers, but I think people wanting like a sexy looking car like this maybe wanted like a V8 or a V10 that you got in the R8, which was similarly priced back in the day. Again, this is over £100,000 new. I think the Roadsters were over £125,000, one of them spec'd up. But you can remember seeing a copper one at Arnold Clark in Glasgow a good few years ago. But out with that, it still looks good today. It's driving rather well. Let's pop it into sports mode so we can get the dynamics. Everything goes red. We're coming up to 40 miles per hour in a second. You can see that artificial hum getting drummed into the cabin now that we're in sports mode, so we'll give it a little bit of an acceleration boost once we're hitting this new speed limit. 3, 2, 1, and the car accelerates like that. And all of a sudden you have a different beast. This car is really good at playing the duality of a comfortable like GT car around like city streets and things, but you put it in sports mode, get it into like a B road or twisty road, something like that, and you can really enjoy it. Yes, it's got quite skinny tyres, so you're not going to be at the edge of like motoring prowess in terms of something like an M3 or something for track times and things like that, but for something that's tossable at the weekend, you want a little bit of fun and you want to be able to accelerate and have a little bit of a laugh, and it gives you a bit of an experience, this certainly could be the car for you. And I think a lot of people at the end of the day, maybe you want something, you can buy this and take your partner out for a meal, or you want to do a little drive on a Sunday. This certainly will tick those boxes, and it doesn't help it, it's still got head-turning looks all these years later, so it's got that going for it. If you've made it this far in the video, why not give the Cars of Glasgow video a thumbs up? Subscribe to the channel below. A special thanks once again to HB Autos for loaning me this i8 for today's video to bring it all to you all. Comment your thoughts on this car. Is it the best car you can buy under £36,000? It's certainly a good looker, but yeah, you comment below what else you might consider at that price point. Anyway, until next time, I will see you next video. Ciao.